great hot days. There were lots of people at the splash pad. We had a really good time. There were people at every table. I'll let Greg tell his own. You're going to tell your own story. He went right directly to a spot to sit down. It turns out there was a guy there, 21 years old, reading the Bible. He was reading from Jonah, which Greg loves that story. So they got to encourage each other. And turns out that it was very good for Greg. He was kind of down today, and he was uplifted by finding a young man reading the Bible in the middle of this busy park. So they got to share a lot of time together. And I ended up going to quite a few tables and talking with people and praying. At the first table I went to, there was a family that was willing to have prayer for a young lady who had CP, cerebral palsy, and she was changing schools, so they wanted prayer for her. So she's going into middle school and has this disability. So they didn't want her to call her over out of the splash pad to be prayed for, but we prayed, and I gave them a wristband and a card and went through the wristband with them, and they were believers, and they were really thrilled that someone took the time out to share this, to give to their daughter for encouragement for going to school this next year. So that was really, really exciting. Went to a couple other tables and shared Jesus, but they didn't want any prayers. There was a birthday party going on, so I asked who's the mom, and that lady there was really thrilled that I blessed her child for today, and said this is the day that God brought him out into the earth. So that was exciting. Went to another table, and there was a Hispanic lady, and yes, I sat down. I don't speak very much Spanish. She didn't speak very much English, but with God, I sat down anyways. And so I gave her a Hispanic card and kind of went through the wristband with her, even though she didn't want prayer. And that turned out to be pretty good. So she was happy with that. It blessed her day. Meanwhile, I went over and sat with Greg, and he jumped up and went right for this couple that he had been seeing. Greg, you want to tell about that? This young couple? Because that was the exciting part of the day. And I'll just wrap up before he speaks and say that we ended up at the gas station. Well, actually, we went another place after that, but the gas station, and our name was Pink Ladies and a Guy. And I brought back treats of all pink, limited edition, Starburst for everyone. So it's Greg's turn now. I try to bring back treats. I'm just that kind of person.
So you guys know me. When I go out, I expect every time we go out that we're going to lead someone to the Lord. It is what it is. I just absolutely expect it. And so I think the Lord really used today as a humbling thing for me. I don't know that it was necessarily a prideful thing for me, but I just expected. And so I was sitting and I was talking with the gentleman at the table. He's a black gentleman that goes to Ivy Tech here. And he was just sitting there, and I just walked up and literally, I just sat down because I wanted to sit down. It wasn't because I saw him or anything. And then we just started talking, and he was reading the book of Jonah, and he was talking about how he just wanted to study every single verse. And he was still on the first chapter, and he was telling me his whole testimony. You know, he's only been saved for 3 years, and he's from Virginia, and he told me when he got saved, he told me when he got water baptized, and then he told me when he got baptized in the Holy Spirit. I mean, we just had an amazing conversation. It was great. And just listening to a 21-year-old talk about this, he was literally lifting my spirit. Because I literally did not want to do this today. You know, for me, this is my life. And when I meet people this way, I don't need to come with a group of people to do this. It's just how I do it. I love doing it with a group of people. There's power in that, and there's encouragement, and the iron sharpening iron, and it's all great. I just didn't want to do it today. And then Tanya came over and sat down, and the whole time I'm with him, I'm just praying that the Lord shows me who I'm supposed to really engage. I mean, you guys know that's how I do it. I look for that light, that person or those people. And I saw this Latino couple that was getting ready to leave, and I got up and started talking with they had a baby that's only 7 months old, and they have a little 5-year-old boy, and so I was talking with them, and then I just started talking with the mom and dad, and I just knew that's who we were supposed to engage. And so I just spent, I don't know how much time, I spent a lot of time just building a relationship with them, and then asked them if I could pray over them and what I could pray about, and they said their marriage, and so we prayed over their marriage, and then I went into the wristband of Bibles and got all the way to the end and asked them the questions that I always ask. Have you ever heard this before? They grew up Catholic. They knew a lot of the scriptures. They've heard the scriptures before. So I asked them, have you ever heard it in this order? And they said no. And I said, is there anything that would stop you from doing this today? Would you want to ask Jesus in your heart today? Do you want to say, Jesus, your Lord, and do you believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead? Do you want that? And she said yes right away, Amy. And she wanted to do it. And then I looked at Juan, and he said, well, I'm just not so sure yet. So we talked a little bit more, and then he said, no, I think I need to talk to my best friend. And instantly, she changed. The wife changed. Amy changed. And she looked at me and she goes, well, I need to obey and follow my husband. And I was like, no, you don't. I didn't say that. But I'm like, no, you don't. You need to follow Jesus. But, I had to honor that. And for me, you can ask Jill, I struggled with that one. Jill, afterwards, I kind of went into my little mopey corner. And Jill came up and we talked about it for a little bit. And, that frustrates me because it feels like, immediately Satan comes and he says, look, you screwed up. You did this wrong. You said this wrong. You didn't do it this way right. You didn't do this, and I've got all of those voices in my head that's telling me everything that I did wrong. And it took Jill to kind of bring me back to reality that it's not that I did anything wrong. It's just the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And there was something there that tried to take that away from Amy immediately. Mark 4, it says that when the seed is planted, when that word is given, the enemy comes immediately to take that away. And that's what happened. And so Jill kind of walked through me with that. And, it doesn't make me feel any better, but I do have his name and his phone number. And I know it's his phone number because I texted him and it got onto his phone. So I do have a way to connect with him. But, I just encouraged him to make sure that he does talk with his friend who is a Christian that's been asking him to come to his church for several months. And so I encouraged him to make sure that he does talk to that friend of his, John, or I don't know what his name is, Steve, John, James. But then to text me and let me know, and if there's anything that I can do to, encourage them or pray with them. So I don't know that that's a testimony as much as it is just kind of sharing with you my heart about where I'm at, because that's frustrating. You have someone on the hook.
Yeah.
You have this big fish on the hook.
Big one that got away.
And they get away, and it's like, what do you do with that? It was this big.
Yeah.
You say the Holy Spirit has.
It was huge, and so I have to actually just release that.
Amen.
The Holy Spirit worked.